You're listening to Spectrum on 105.9 WJZW, and our guest from the Guitar and Saxes tour, Richard Elliot. Welcome to Spectrum.
Thank you very much.
You're out on a very exciting venture. This is the third year. Peter was telling us the third year. You're definitely hooked up with probably some of the finest musicians in the industry today. How does it feel?
Oh, it feels great. You'll get no argument from me on that. I feel very, very lucky to be involved in this project. And yet this is the third incarnation of Guitars and Saxes. And I was on the first one, along with Peter and with Craig and saxophonist Warren Hill. And that was the first time for all of us doing kind of a collaboration type tour. And so I think we were kind of sort of testing the waters a little bit, and it ended up being an awful lot of fun. But I think what makes this one special is that all four of us have been in a situation like this before, so we didn't have to worry about, okay, what's it going to be like? How do you deal with temperaments and making sure there's continuity in the show? We all sort of knew how to do this, so we could just concentrate on going in and just having a good time, and that's really what it's been. It's been more like summer camp than anything else. We all just have a wonderful time musically. I think that reflects in the music too, and what's most important for me is I feel like what comes out of me musically in a situation like this is going to be different than what comes out of me when I'm on stage doing my own show. It's really the interaction is what makes this thing really special.
You have a very interesting background. You were part of probably one of the best studio bands, studio units that has ever, been dubbed a horn section. And of course, I'm referring to San Francisco's Tower of Power. How did you get into that band?
Actually, I still wonder how that all happened now that I think back on it. But
it ain't the crime; it's if you got caught.
That's right. Well, see, for me, I think back to when I was 14 years old. I went to the Santa Monica Civic Auditorium to see Tower of Power. And if my friend had leaned over to me and said, "See that up there? One day you're going to be in that band," I would have thought he was crazy. I mean, the thought of playing in Tower of Power, of course, is pretty much every horn player's dream come true. The way it worked out for me was kind of strange, actually. The saxophonist, lead saxophonist in the band prior to me was Mark Russo, who was in the Yellow Jackets for quite a while after he left Tower of Power. I was in the Yellow Jackets before I joined Tower of Power. So we kind of swapped gigs in a way. What had happened was I played on the second Yellow Jackets album, Mirage à Trois, and then the group took a one-year hiatus. I went out on the road with Melissa Manchester, which is a decidedly musically different kind of an experience than playing with the Yellow Jackets. But when the Yellow Jackets got back together, I was I was a young man who had just sort of gotten his first taste of going out and making a little money on the road. So I'd bought a house, and I had a car payment and all that kind of stuff, and Yellow Jackets got back together again, and I just decided I wanted to stay with Melissa. Well, after about 6 months of that, as much as I loved working with Melissa, I got a little bit musically unchallenged in that situation. The Yellow Jackets asked Mark if he'd like to join the band, and then the tour manager in Tower of Power called me and asked if I'd like to play in Tower of Power. The timing was just perfect. And I went down to one of the concerts that Tower of Power was doing at a place called the Palomino in North Hollywood, California. Very famous place. And I went down there and I took my saxophone down, and they said, well, come down, we'll meet you, and maybe you can sit in on a song. And I said, okay. Went down there, met Emilio Castillo, the leader of the group. We talked a little bit, and he says, so you want to sit in? I said, yeah, I'd love to. I said, just let me know what song you want me to come up on. He goes, no, come up and play the whole show. I said, do you have any sheet music? He goes, no. I said, but you want me to play the whole show? He says, yeah, come on. So now I'm petrified. I was 22 years old, and petrified. I walk up on the stage, shaky-legged. The place is packed with people. And Mark Russo obviously was still in the band, and I was to look at Mark for cues, musical cues and things like that. I'm so nervous. And if this wasn't bad enough, just before we start, Emilio leans over to me and he goes, oh, by the way, just look at Mark for the dance steps. And I'm thinking, okay, good. Now I have to learn the music on the fly, and I have to do dance steps and the whole thing. It was an amazing sort of baptism by fire, but that's how it came about.
And obviously, you made the song come true. I got the job.
Well, gee, I guess so. I mean, I did get the job for 5 years. Was I would say 90% at least of who I am as a musician and a performer is attributable to being with Tower of Power.
Well, maybe now you'd give us a treat and play disc jockey and play something off your latest CD. Anything you want. What do you want to play?
Oh, well, I guess we could go with the title track, City Speak, from the CD City Speak.
Story behind this tune?
Well, City Speak, the title track is sort of indicative of inspiration behind the CD as a whole, which is kind of a place I get inspiration is from all the traveling we do. We do about 100 dates a year. I find that each place that I go has kind of a different personality to it, each city. I mean, of course, the city itself doesn't have the personality. It's the people that make it up. But the feeling that I get when I go into each place, I think each location we go into has a different feeling, says something different to me, and that's what this song is about. This is Richard Elliot, and here's the title track from my CD, City Speak, on Smooth Jazz 105.9.